Hello? Your Health is Calling, where holistic health meets practical solutions for your well-being. With your host, speaker, New York Times bestselling author, Sue Kostyk, a seasoned holistic health practitioner and longevity coach. Join Sue each week to embark on a journey to uncover the root causes of your health concerns. Through a personalized approach, learn how to decode the messages your body is sending and craft natural protocols to address them. Call in live at 888-994-4995 Studio A.
Good morning and welcome to Hello, Your Health is Calling. I'm Su Kostyk. I'm an integrative health practitioner, and integrative health is a combination of traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and nutrition. And we kind of all tie it all up in a bundle to help you find optimal health naturally. It's all through natural medicine, natural modalities. And today's topic, I'm very excited. I have a guest whom you've probably seen on the show before. She is a guru in mindset. And so, of course, the title of today is Minding Your Business. And what we're going to talk about, which I do talk about a lot, but it is so important, is, how your mind matters. And we're going to talk about achieving optimal health, and it's really a very dynamic process. And it would be great to say, I can help you through every single element of your health, whether it be physical, mental, or spiritual. But my expertise is in the physical. And while I have gone through a lot of mindset issues myself, in fact, my guest, I've been working with her for 2 years to actually get out of that corporate mindset, because I was in corporate for over 30 years. And when I stepped into entrepreneurship, I really had to overcome a lot of those things and those prerequisites that come along with that corporate mindset. So, we're going to talk about mindset. Optimal health is a dynamic process, and it requires pivoting. Remember when COVID hit and the big buzzword was pivot? We got to pivot. And it's one of those things that we constantly in our life are pivoting. It doesn't matter what stage of your life you're in, there's always seems to be a pivot. And that is the same with your health. And you've got to set intentions, and like I said, everyone needs a coach. And so when I say that I've been working with her for a couple years, truly the breakthroughs have come through recently. So I guess my mind was really set hard. But, being the big process that optimal health is, you can't get a new result with old habits. And talking about mindset is what I wanted to do today, because unless you change your mind, things are not going to happen, because your mind is so strong and it wants to protect you from pain. So it thinks that any kind of change is going to be painful, which, it is. I mean, think of the butterfly. The moth goes into a cocoon, which is super tight, and it has to go through certain processes in order for it to, get out of that cocoon. Now, the process it goes through is painful, it's squeezing, but through that process, it's creating those beautiful wings. And if the moth doesn't go through that process, if you try to open that cocoon too early, it's not going to be the beautiful butterfly that it would be if it had stayed in that process, which is probably a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to bring my guest on, and Pamela Chanel David, we call her Chanel, and she has a business called The Reinvented Life. This podcast sits in the Reinvented Life Network on YouTube. And we have decided that we need to work hand in hand because she is a brilliant, brilliant reinvention coach, which, is mindset. It's really all about mindset. So let's bring Chanel on and we're going to have a conversation. Good morning. You look beautiful.
Good, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh yes, I'm really so excited about this. You and I have been together for
Yep.
a few years now, and you have been an integral part of my transformation from the corporate world into the world of entrepreneurship. So, we are going to be talking about health, but it's very important for people to understand that doesn't really matter what part of your life you're trying to transform. Your mindset is key. And our conversation yesterday was super fun and super great. And we just decided that we need to start incorporating mindset into getting healthy. And so our conversation today is going to be around that. And I know you have a lot of great things to say. So I want to just have a conversation and kind of flip ideas back and forth. And then we can wrap it up with talking about, this great package that we're going to be doing together. And as I said, all of the podcasts that I've done sit at YouTube in the Reinvented Life Network at Hello Your Health is Calling. So if you want to go back and listen or watch any of these podcasts, they're there forever. So Chanel, what would you say if someone said to you, I want to do X, get healthy, we can put that in there, but I just don't have time. I just don't have the resources. It's just that I just don't have. What would your response be to that?
Great question to start out with, because that's really where it does start, is a willingness to identify what someone is wanting to achieve and then being sure that the actions that one is taking is aligned with that desire. So one can have a desire to have a different result or an improvement in one's health, which is what we're talking about right now, one's physical health. But if there's not an alignment with actions that support that desire, it really becomes just a pipe dream. And so I love how you opened up that health is really dynamic and it
Mhm.
isn't a static place to be. And so, what I'm very excited about is the opportunity to work with your clients on what are their thoughts going into whatever aspect of their physical health that they want to make an improvement on
Mhm.
and what they want to elevate something about their physical health to be, and then help them come up with out of the gate what can they do. And that's where I'm very excited about it, to find the time or find
Mhm.
the resource and get very creative in their choices in life so that it helps them to stack up the odds of success because they're dealing with the reality of what something may take.
That's amazing. And when you said stack up the odds, I think that by the time people get to a holistic health practitioner, they have what they deem as failed. And so they're coming into this with a preconceived notion they may not be thinking this out loud, but you know
Mhm.
it's in their mind that, oh, this is just one more thing that I'm going to try and not succeed. And I that's why this whole mindset thing, this package is going to involve mindset in the first 4 weeks. It's like, this is what you're going to do before you really get started. Because if you're coming in with a failure mentality, you're just setting yourself up. And failure isn't a bad thing. And, we can go through all the historical data about who failed when and how successful they are now. And, if people can understand that there's so many choices out there, you know, there's especially for weight loss. And I feel like in our day and age, in our society, weight loss is at the forefront of everybody's mind. And even people who look extremely healthy and fit, that, you know, probably 90% of those people are in fear of the next bite they put in their mouth, if that's going to undo everything that they've accomplished. And when you're faced with all these choices,
Mhm.
and some of them being very quick and very easy, however very expensive. How would you start in with this if someone were to come and say, you know what, I've tried XYZ injection to lose weight. I don't want to, do this for the rest of my life. But changing that mindset that it's not necessarily the quick fixes, but it's something that can be sustainable.
Yeah. So again, a great question, a very common question that people deal with. Again, no matter what kind of change it is that they're wanting to make, or what kind of elevation, or what kind of leveling up of frequency that they want to achieve, it has to do with the thoughts that go into whatever the desired outcomes. So, weight loss, the manner in which they want to approach their weight loss, or taking and decreasing, say, critical blood pressure levels, or anything that one may be facing, high cholesterol levels that are potentially going to be impairing their health. It's dealing with the thoughts versus dealing with the outcomes.
Hmm.
So, weight loss, lowering of blood pressure, lowering of cholesterol, improving a physical modality of some type, lowering arthritic conditions that may exist for people, whatever the case may be, those are the outcomes, not the thoughts that go
Hmm.
into achieving the outcomes. And so the change really doesn't have to do with the outcome in the beginning. And that's why I'm so excited about the first 4 weeks of someone's journey with you. It's about what are their thoughts in relation to whatever it is their desired outcomes are. And once I help them move that needle in terms of their thoughts, then the desired outcomes are easier to achieve. So, to your point, if someone comes and they have a desire to lose weight, as the example that you started with, we move to what are their perceptions, what are their thoughts? Because, like you said, a lot of times people will say, I've tried this, I've tried that, I've done this, and they don't feel the success, or they feel the failure to what they've
Yeah.
achieved. We move that needle for them. As I
Hmm.
say, we up their success rate because that's the outcome. What are the thoughts that have gone into achieving that outcome? And as with anything in life, if you are preoccupied with an outcome but don't have the roadmap, which is why I love the
Mm-hmm.
scenario that you take your clients through, which is really a roadmap, a journey to success. If we begin at a different starting point and we get halfway through the journey, the rest of the outcomes are easier to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And you said so many valuable things there. And, when we start trying to transform, there's so much old baggage that creeps up. And I'm reading Brene Brown's book. Um, is it Daring Greatly, or this the one that you recommend, Daring Greatly? And it talks so much about, we've been written a prescription throughout our
Mm-hmm.
lives of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts very young. And in fact, it's such a wonderful book. And I'm in the parenting section of it right now. And it's a little bit convicting. But anyway, um, but it does talk about how these prescriptions are written for us early in life. And that's what we stick to because it's too uncomfortable for us to even think that perhaps that's not the truth about us. And we could like dive so deep into so
Yeah.
many things, Chanel. I mean, it's like I'm trying to stay on track here, but maybe that's another time we can dive into the soul. But you know um I love how you know you've helped me create so much around my business, and instead of saying I'm just a healthcare practitioner, it's really a holistic health concierge, because everybody is individual. We all have different biodynamics. And if you were to check into a hotel and want to see the city, you're going to go to the concierge and you're going to tell them the things you want to see and how you want to go about seeing them and what your favorite things are and what your interests are. And that concierge is going to ask you those questions to make sure that they're guiding you into the right place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what optimal health is about. It's about having that guide that can take you through. And this isn't just for people who have chronic health issues. This is for people who are actually healthy but want to live a very long, healthy, active life. Because when you start getting in your 60s and you've been pretty healthy all your life, all of a sudden it's like, happy birthday, here's a new ache. you know or you start walking, you're like, oh, I didn't feel that before. So it's really about having someone that can point you in the direction that is for you. And and that's really, we talk about health all the time. We talk about getting healthy, or maybe getting off medications that you'd like to get off, but it's really about every single part of your life. It's about your finances, it's about your your personal relationships, it's about your spiritual life. It's really um making a transfer. If you're making a transformation in any one of those areas, you need a coach. Coaches have coaches. So when we were talking about mindset, just you were talking just a minute ago, I think about golf because my husband is a golfer. So
Mm-hmm.
we talk about mindset. We watch a lot of the PGA stuff, and your mind has to be so focused
Mm-hmm.
on the positive, on the outcome, versus the fact that you just missed that 2 foot putt. And so, when you're going through like a health journey, like I have a client that she texted me in a panic and she's like, oh my gosh, I went out to dinner last night and I had Mexican food and I had a margarita and I feel like I've undone. I mean, she was I could feel the panic in her text. And it's like, no, you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Life is not about the hard, fast rules. It's about the journey through. And So I'm going to let you talk for a while too, because I've like just taken up a whole bunch of minutes. So, when we start thinking about the journey as a whole, and I know you talked about that a lot just a minute ago, but what else can we do um, that perhaps can help us get out of a rut? Or, if you've been working on something for a long time, some of my clients work with me for up to 6 months because there's just a lot of issues. What can we do to just help not get stuck, not feel like we are in this for the rest of our lives, but that there is a light at the end of the tunnel?
Mhm. Well, again, what you're describing is a classic place that people are at. It's just the way it is. And that is a certain conditioning that they've gotten used to over time. Whether it be a certain health conditioning, whether it be a certain perception about something, whether it be a certain dynamic that they've gotten conditioned to, people fall into conditioned behaviors. And so,
Mhm.
one of the beautiful things about finding out in these initial stages of one's journey over the first, say, month and a half of one's journey in approaching health performance goals that they want to achieve is the, again, going back to alignment, is the goal that they have aligned with the actions that they are taking? And many
Mhm.
times it's as simple as a deconditioning process that I can help take someone through where they can help recognize, oh, this is stopping me, or this is stopping me, or this is stopping me. So
Mhm.
X, Y, and Z are taking place. And sometimes it's easy not to see the things right smack dab in front of us. And that's when you talk about a coach, you talk about the fact that we're getting guidance, because a coach is really a guide, right?
Mhm.
A guide to whatever the desired outcome again is. And so if you have a certain alignment with a set of behaviors that aren't correlative to where you want to be, you're not going to find the success rate, even if you're doing all the things, because it always goes back to, we're human beings, we're not human doings. And the way we are being in relation to our goals, our outcomes, is the important ingredient. It's like when we create a recipe, if we want to create something, it has to have a certain set of ingredients. So that's the other way to think of it, is
Yeah.
that the ingredients are correlated to what ultimately will go into the outcome that they're wanting, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's great. And thank you for your just wise input in all of this. And so I'm super excited about this because what happens when I start working with a client is we kind of dive right straight into the symptoms, what their goals are. And then we do some functional lab testing to see where the underlying root cause may be. And then we do protocols and we walk that way. And throughout our journey, mindset issues creep in. And so then we
Mm-hmm.
kind of pause and start to, take a minute about that. So having you at the beginning of their journey is going to just allow their journey to be so much steadier and even. And we don't have to stop in the middle of it and go, gosh, why are you feeling this way? What's going on? I don't have to start asking the questions that I'm really not an expert at by any means. I can only be empathetic, and I can, you know, sympathize because I've been on this journey myself. But having 4 weeks of you with them, and then they're in a position with their mind to just dive in, and they're ready to go. And it's just it's exciting. It's so exciting for me. So, and please, if people are interested in finding out more, send me an email to support at helloyourhealthiscalling.com. And, I'm going to start actually posting on social media. You can find me at Sue Kostyk. And we'll be talking a lot about this because as we're coming into, the summer months, people are talking about getting ready for their summer bodies. And I would really urge you to start considering getting ready for your 80-year-old body. Because even if you're in your 60s like I am, I can be doing so many things that will help me through my 70s, 80s, and hopefully 90s, maybe even 100. I don't know. Lord willing, right? So it's going to be it's a dynamic package. It's very affordable. And my dear friend and mentor and coach is going to be right alongside you. So, do you have any last words of wisdom before we have to shut off for the day?
Yeah, we could talk about this all day long, but the one thing I would share is that working with any kind of guide, working with any kind of coach, is going to help bring simplicity and declutter the process. And that's so important because when one is looking at any kind of shifts that they want to make, any kind of transformation they want to make, suddenly it can be overwhelming. Just being realistic about it, overwhelming of, as you mentioned a couple things already, what are the resources available? How do I carve out time in an already busy schedule or a set in place schedule? When you simplify things and declutter it down to just a couple, a handful of key achievements or key goals or things that one wants to achieve, and then you have a straight path of I want X, you do Y. I want A, you do B. It just helps as anything in life is to simplify it, declutter the process, and make it something that's enjoyable, that it's fun,
Mm-hmm.
that you look forward to. Because
Great.
if something's arduous, if something's difficult, if something's cluttered and busy and you don't know where to start, the tendency is not to start at all.
Right.
So, keeping things easy, keeping things very decluttered, very simple
Mhm.
is the key to any of this.
Right. It it is so true. And when we talk about keeping things fun, getting healthy, obviously we're not saying that's fun. It's like going to the carnival, but but there's things that you can do while you're getting healthy that can be fun. If I'm recommending exercise, find something that you love. Pickleball is the rage right now. And it's very social and there's community around it, so you're kind of covering so many, you're checking so many boxes by doing that. So but it's such a need right now that we live in such an unhealthy society, and it's just taking that first step to say yes. That is just the first step you need to do. And then we got you covered. It's like take that first step, reach out to the coach. And, you can't just say, put me in, coach. You got to be coached up so that you can be put in. So, well,
And
thank you so
and
much. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I just was going to say
Yeah.
what excites me about it is you're creating a team for yourself. You're not in this alone. And that is the biggest message that a guide, a coach can bring is this is a real team effort. And
Mm-hmm.
when people feel cared about, when people feel that others are there with them to understand what they're going through, it demystifies the whole process.
Well, and let me just add that you and I have both been through this process. You know,
Yes.
your whole reinvention, the reinvented life, was born out of your reinvention and you getting through a very dynamic health journey. And my own personal journey is the same. I had to overcome a lot of obstacles to get healthy again. And so we're coming at this from a point of true empathy and, we've been there. We have been there. We've walked in your shoes, and we are here to coach you now. So, using all of, take advantage of the mistakes that we made along the way.
Absolutely.
So, okay. Well, our time is up. In fact, we're over time, but thank you so much for coming on. Like I said,
Pleasure.
please reach out to me, support at helloyourhealthiscalling.com. And I'm going to be posting on social media about this package because it really truly is an amazing offer. And if you want to go back and watch any of these YouTubes, go to YouTube, the Reinvented Life Network, Hello, Your Health is Calling, and then like and subscribe so you're never going to miss any of these. Thank you for listening and watching. And if your health is calling, remember your health is not a hobby. It is something that needs attention. So if your health is calling, please answer it. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Hello, Your Health is Calling with Sue Kostyk. Remember, your health journey is ongoing, and we're here to support you every step of the way. If you have any questions, insights, or stories to share, don't hesitate to reach out. You can connect with us on social media or call in live at 888-994-4995 Studio A. Together, we're transforming lives and embracing holistic well-being. Until next time, prioritize your health and remember, your health is calling.